Welcome! Thank you for taking the time to learn more about Sharing Notes. I'm thankful for this time to share with you the mission of Sharing Notes and our impact in the greater Chicago community. My name is Lauren Hayes, and I'm the Program Director and Volunteer Engagement Coordinator for Sharing Notes. Sharing Notes is a Chicago-based nonprofit that connects musicians with hospital patients across the Chicagoland area. We serve 3 large hospital systems and work with professional musicians, student musicians, and community members who have played throughout their lives. We will begin by sharing a video from a Sharing Notes visit.
So good. It's very beautiful.
Pablo Casals said, "I am a human being first, a musician second, and a cellist third." We believe music on a mission. Music has healing power. Our mission statement is improving quality of life for Chicago hospital patients through intimate, engaging, and uplifting live music performances. Northwestern's motto is patients first. We put the patient first in all we do. No matter where or how in the hospital we work, we remember always that caring for patients and their families is at the heart of our mission and our philosophy. I'd like you to think about what the difference was between this performance you just heard and a more traditional performance you've performed in or experienced. Sharing Notes was founded in 2012 by Allegra Montanari at the Chicago College of Performing Arts at Roosevelt University. It began as a service organization before turning into a nonprofit. The original mission of the organization was to create new outreach opportunities through music performance. Sharing Notes has evolved immensely. Beginning as mostly Roosevelt students, Sharing Notes' core volunteer base is now mostly professional musicians and community members. Since our founder, Allegra, left, we've had 2 executive directors who have shaped the direction of the organization and implemented new ways of outreach through the pandemic. Liz Burgess took over in 2020 and provided leadership for the duration of the COVID-19 era, where we pivoted to virtual programming due to hospital and government mandates and restrictions. In 2022, Katie Grennan became the executive director of Sharing Notes. Katie is a world-renowned Irish fiddle player and classically trained violinist. With Katie being a very active musician in the Chicago music scene, we've been able to draw upon resources and connections for recruiting and programming that have opened many new doors. Sharing Notes originally began only in person, and one advantage that the pandemic provided us is that now we can reach people virtually in the suburbs and all over the city, regardless of where our volunteers live or their transportation. We are also able to welcome volunteers to our organization from all over the United States. Some of our volunteers have family in Chicago, were raised in Chicago, doing a virtual degree in the city, or are personally connected with some of our staff. Sharing Notes concerts are one-on-one concert experiences driven by conversation and personal connection. They are an opportunity for patients to take their mind off their troubles and enjoy great music, and a chance for volunteers to bring joy to patients through their musical talents. We do this through live in-person concerts and live virtual bedside concerts. As you can see from these photos, This is what an in-person concert looks like. It occurs either at the door or in the room and centers around conversations and connections between patients and their families, often accompanied by a child life specialist or registered nurse. In this slide, you see a couple of images from La Rabida, the children's hospital we serve. La Rabida visits look a bit different than adult hospital visits, and La Rabida is shaped as a ship calling themselves the SS La Rabida. At a La Rabida visit, our volunteers initially begin in the playroom and play and sing for a larger group of children. Oftentimes, there is a birthday party or something similar happening, so we talk with the adults present to get all of the children involved in group songs and movement activities. My favorite being many renditions of Baby Shark, the Eensy Weensy Spider, and other interactive songs. Then, volunteers will go through the hallways, visiting individual rooms, most often playing for babies and their families or siblings. Finally, the visit wraps up by playing in a centrally located broadcasting room where a short set of songs is played over the TV system of the hospital to each patient's room. This way, we're able to reach a much broader audience in the hospital, as well as children who, for medical reasons, might not be able to have their doors open or visitors come in. Virtual bedside concerts are performed via FaceTime, and they give us the opportunity to connect with restricted hospital patients or hospitals who are limiting visitors. Logistically, there's an iPad taken around by a nurse to each patient's room. Oftentimes, patients choose not to have the video on, so we rely on talking with them or the nurse sharing on their behalf. Sharing Notes operates on a two-pronged mission. The first prong entails students and professional musicians who are in need of meaningful opportunities to use their skills to help the community and need training and experience in community engagement. The second prong entails Chicago area hospital patients who are in need of enriching, uplifting arts experiences and a much-needed break from hospital life. Sharing Notes bridges the gap between these two prongs and organizes concerts for hospital patients and training for musicians to engage in a comfortable manner. We empower musicians by providing training and performance opportunities to volunteer musicians. For music students, Sharing Notes gives experiential learning opportunities that build skills in audience-driven performance, public speaking, and working with children, the elderly, and the disabled. They are able to see firsthand how their music has the power to make a difference. We are also empowering the next generation of musicians to serve others through their art. At Sharing Notes, we strive to make our programs tailored to each audience's specific needs, abilities, and interests. We work to provide access to live music to improve the quality of life for hospital patients. We balance performances with caring conversation and interaction. I'd like to take a moment and ask a few questions for you to reflect on. Have you ever played in a hospital? Have you ever played for a non-traditional audience or in a non-traditional venue? And have you ever attended a performance in a non-traditional setting? These are things we aim to have our volunteers feel comfortable with, and performing in a wide variety of different settings is our norm. Building lasting partnerships is at the core of what we do. It is invaluable for us to find partners who see the value in the mission we are creating. It is crucial that these partners understand the needs of the facility, create goals in alignment with Sharing Notes and our partners and volunteers, share and track successes, and meet the hospital's legal requirements. Sharing Notes' best partners are child life specialists, care management teams, chaplains, music therapists, and patient care coordinators. Northwestern Medicine is our largest system of hospitals that we operate in. We are currently in 1/3 of all Northwestern hospitals. We are in Lake Forest Hospital biweekly, Woodstock Hospital weekly, Marion Joy Rehabilitation Center monthly, and the Central DuPage Hospital monthly. We are now also in person at the Lurie Cancer Center twice per month as a partner with Gilda's Club of Chicago. We also work with 2 other hospital systems and 1 senior living community. The first is Ascension St. Joseph. It is located in Lincoln Park, a neighborhood on the north side of Chicago, and where many of our volunteers are based. Ascension is our first outreach into a behavioral health center specializing in substance use disorder and addiction, as well as an inpatient addiction recovery center and inpatient centers for behavioral disorders and schizophrenia. The second is La Rabida Children's Hospital. La Rabida is one of our longest partners and the one who helped jumpstart Sharing Notes' impact on the Chicago community through their Friends of La Rabida Award for Community Partnership in 2013. La Rabida's mission is to treat chronic childhood illness, and today, La Rabida employs leaders in healthcare to provide specialized treatments for diabetes, Down syndrome, sickle cell, and developmental disabilities, which are the challenges most of the children we reach are facing. Our final partner is Plymouth Place Senior Living Community. Plymouth Place is located in LaGrange Park in the western suburbs of Chicago. Musicians have the opportunity to either play for a small group of residents in a more formal recital setting or go room to room through the community. The next few slides show our organization's ebb and flow of number of hours volunteered, the number of patients reached, and the number of volunteers in our organization. The numbers for 2024 are projected based off of our numbers to date. As you can see, our annual hours volunteered per year have been steadily climbing. We are continually increasing our visits and have been able to maximize the number of visits by continuing with both virtual and in-person performances. We also stress to our volunteers the importance of keeping scheduled visits a priority for the organization's health and our relationship with our hospital partners. Our active volunteer list has blossomed over the last 3 years as we offer a wider variety of programming and volunteer opportunities in new parts of the Chicagoland area. We are continually recruiting new volunteers and listening to what they're looking for in a volunteer experience, as well as broadening our volunteer base to include more orchestras and music organizations, both in Chicago and outside of Illinois. Our total audience members reached has fluctuated based on our primary method of delivering music to hospital patients. When we are doing mostly in-person hospital visits, it is easy to play for a majority of a floor of patients and staff or set up in a hallway. When we were doing primarily virtual performances, volunteers would only see approximately 2 patients per visit as they are listening on a private iPad. Now that we have returned to a majority of our visits being in person and expanded our reach to new hospitals, our numbers are reflecting this change. The projected 2024 total number of hospital patients, staff, and family reached is 2,870 people this year. An additional asterisk to add on this slide is that our data collection practices have changed in the last 3 years. We are now keeping a much tighter record of the number of patients we reach. In the past, our staff have counted patients reached in different forms, which is shown through the fluctuation of the numbers here as well. Each year, we send out a hospital staff survey to collect feedback from a hospital perspective. From the feedback we received from hospital staff, Sharing Notes programs give adults the benefit of stress management, mood improvement, positive memory making, and an improved quality of life. A very important added benefit is that hospital staff receives emotional support and stress release from our musicians. From a children's perspective, programs gave children the opportunity for relaxation and stress management, laughter, learning, socialization, and positive attention that is not around a medical procedure or therapy task. Additionally, especially in a children's hospital, Patients' families receive emotional support and a shared family experience to take away from their stay. We work with musicians in these organizations to heighten awareness of opportunities for their musicians. The Chicago College of Performing Arts was one of our longest partnerships as it's where Sharing Notes was started. The Northwestern Medical Orchestra is a newer partner. It was founded in the spring of 2018 by first-year medical students to provide an instrumental musical experience for members of the Northwestern medical community in downtown Chicago. The orchestra's first season culminated in a 2-concert series, including works by Dvorak, Beethoven, Ravel, and John Williams. We have many members of the NMO who volunteer with Sharing Notes frequently and have proved to be a strong foundation of our volunteer base. Our Lyric Opera of Chicago partnership began in the very early stages of the pandemic. Musicians from the Lyric Opera Orchestra began volunteering on a weekly basis, providing longer-form concerts of about 30 to 45 minutes of chamber music in April 2020 virtually for the Marion Joy Rehabilitation Center. Since, we've continued our partnership with many musicians from the opera, transitioning their performances into our regular length programming. The Lyric Opera Stage Artists Partnership also began during the pandemic. The Lyric Opera of Chicago was founded in 1954 and includes the oldest AGMA chorus in Chicago. The Lyric Opera stage artists are an integral part of what makes Lyric Opera of Chicago one of the 3 largest and most successful opera companies in the country. Old St. Pat's Music Department is a church located in Chicago's West Loop with a large music offering, including 5 choirs and several annual events. Rendezvous Arts is also a newer partnership. Rendezvous hosts social, interactive performances that create an atmosphere of one-on-one engagement at the intersection of music and art. In returning to the symphony orchestra's more intimate roots, chamber music, they share their insights with audiences, giving them an artist's perspective into what they hear and see. As you can see, Rendezvous's mission aligns directly with Sharing Notes, and we're excited to continue our chamber music programming through their support as well. Finally, we're excited to have begun partnering with the Civic Orchestra of Chicago in the fall of 2023 through their Bach Marathon Festival. Many civic musicians performed large group and chamber works at Ascension St. Joseph to culminate their Bach Marathon Week. The Civic is a pre-professional orchestra housed under the Chicago Symphony to train young professionals for lives in music. We're excited to share our program with their musicians and train these young professionals how to interact in a hospital setting as they enter their careers. I'd like to share a little bit about myself and how I personally became involved with Sharing Notes. Since I was quite young, I grew up accompanying my mom to the nursing home in my hometown to sing to folks who were non-ambulatory. And eventually, when I was about 9, I started taking my harp to play for those at the retirement center and those in hospice. Sharing music to those in a hospital setting has been at my core for many years. My experience with the organization has evolved, and through this, I experienced the changes from the perspective of a performer through the changes of COVID. I'm professionally a harpist and moved to Chicago in 2017 to do a performance diploma at Roosevelt University, subbing work at the Lyric Opera, and was an associate with the Civic Orchestra of Chicago. I'm now a freelance musician and teacher and play around the Midwest with several orchestras, including the Minnesota Orchestra, the Omaha Symphony, and on the Chicago Symphony's Music Now series. I met Allegra at Roosevelt and immediately knew Sharing Notes was something that I wanted to be involved in. On my first trip to the hospital we were playing at, I walked around the corner with my harp, and a woman stopped me in awe and was so moved because her daughter had been a very serious harpist. She was in the hospital because her husband had been suddenly hospitalized for brain cancer a day or 2 before. Because they were just about to take him to chemo, I played only a minute for them that time. However, they reached out and asked if I would be willing to come back the following weekend. I returned and had the pleasure of playing for them and their daughter this time. I pulled out one of my favorite pieces, the Foray Impromptu, because it is a piece that never ceases to make my heart smile, and I truly believe brings about a sense of peace and a calming presence. As I played the Foray, her father woke up and was responsive for the first time since his previous treatment. That moment will never leave me and makes me remember what an amazing opportunity each of us has as musicians to touch someone's life and why I'm so thankful to Sharing Notes for facilitating these connections. To this day, I'm still in touch with his daughter, and we often reminisce about the shared experience we had and the impact that that visit left on their family. My role in Sharing Notes has evolved over the years, and I'm proud to have taken on the role of Program Director since February of 2023. As an organization, our future goals include providing more stipends for volunteers for travel expenses, parking, public transportation, and time spent commuting to visits and technology needs. We hope to create new connections with more Chicago-based educational institutions, find new ways to recognize and honor volunteers who participate on a regular schedule, create a volunteer mentorship program with veteran volunteers and new student musicians, broaden the diversity in our volunteer base, provide musicians with outside expert training with guest speakers such as professional children's musicians, music therapists, and professional musicians, hire and train new event leaders to support in-person visits, and we aim to build a stronger volunteer community and collaborative environment, a cornerstone of what the organization did in its early years. When Sharing Notes started, we were more of a service student organization. However, now that we have professionals and community members, our volunteer base is geographically much more spread out and diverse. If this mission speaks to you and you'd like to support us or are interested in volunteering or know someone who is interested in volunteering, please visit our website or contact me directly. Thank you so much for your time and allowing me to share with you about the impact Sharing Notes has on the greater Chicago community and the future of the organization.